I'm Marty Lafferty. Our next guest is Lawrence Levine. Lawrence is an accomplished technologist and entrepreneur with several successful exits and over 20 years of experience creating advanced internet and security technologies. He's credited with a number of firsts, ranging from a fetal ultrasound system to an online real estate advertising company to a managed network security business. Welcome, Lawrence.
Thanks, Marty. It's glad to be here.
So your latest venture, Horn.
Horn.
Tell us about Horn.
Horn is a lot of fun, a lot more fun than fetal ultrasound.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Also a lot more fun than information security. So, Horn is great. Horn is a platform that we're building out to allow people to use the internet to talk to each other.
I think we do that now with email.
Oh yeah, we do.
With text.
So we're going to take it a little bit of a different direction. We're allowing people to talk to each other with their mouths using voice. So we're really introducing voice communication back into technology. I know you're thinking that we do this with telephones and Skype and Google Talk, and you're right, we do. But there's a real difference, and the thing that Horn's doing that's really different is allowing people that don't know each other to meet each other and talk to each other about things that might be of interest to them. And so as opposed to setting up a call with people that you know, you might come to a Horn channel to talk about something maybe near and dear to my heart, like kite surfing. And you might have other kite surfers from all around the world that are in that channel and be able to meet for the first time and have voice conversation with those people live. So it's not asynchronous, it's not posting something and waiting for a response. It's really just having an actual honest conversation with other people.
Fascinating. So how is that applicable to the Internet of Things, which is our big theme at the show?
It is, and it's great. I love the Internet of Things, by the way. Everything should be on the internet. The way that it really ties best into the Internet of Things, as it is in today's sort of inception of it, is really in the connected car. And so if the car is a thing, Horn needs to be in the car. Now you're going to say, I know that every car already has a horn.
I was going to say.
I know, I thought you might say that. But it's but the idea that you could be driving down the road and in your car, both hands on the wheel.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, both hands on the wheel. And you could be in a channel, say the On the Road channel, maybe sponsored by someone like the American Automobile Association. And while you're driving down the road, you could be talking with your mouth, not your hands, to other people that are on the road with you. And you might say things like, hey, how's it going? I see that there's a tree that's fallen on the side of the road and that tree seems to have a radar gun. Or something like that.
So this is Waze meets the CB.
It is Waze meets the CB. And in fact, it's really interesting that you say that because this came out of me as a very active Waze user. And finding that as I was driving up and down the Eastern Seaboard on a regular basis, I go back and forth up and down the Eastern Seaboard at least once a month. And I was regularly using Waze, finding that reports were 45 minutes old. The idea of map chats were great, except that I couldn't type while I was driving 70 or something like that down the interstate. And I really wanted to be able to talk to other people. And I thought, well, I could get a CB. Those things existed. And they still exist, but the usage really fell away. The advent of the cellular phone really just killed CB for consumer use.
Right. So we are in a fairly technology webcast. Can you tell us a little bit about how Horn actually works?
Sure. In some ways, it's very simple. We take a voice stream from an individual user. We take all of the voice streams that are part of that channel, and we figure out, based on each user's filter requirements, what the combined output to them should be. And we do that all using incredibly cool, scalable technology. We're entirely cloud-driven. So we have no servers that we have on rack spaces. We're using a combination of all the big cloud providers so that we can scale resources up globally based on user demand and load. At the end of the day, what's simple about it is that we're taking a telephone quality voice stream from a user and passing them back a telephone quality voice stream of all the voices that they would be hearing as part of that conversation. We do some pretty cool stuff there too. We allow individual users to mute other users, which is really handy when you have someone that's, say, singing into the microphone relentlessly or swearing, continually. And if you don't like what they're saying, you can tap their button and they're muted. I see that happening in the car where you actually have it on screen. We have things sorted by spark line, so you can see how many users or how often a user is speaking. And so the users that's chewing up all that time, you could tap a button on them and have them muted suddenly.
Are there other ways you have to filter the relative randomness of this experience?
We do. Obviously, the first step is going to be creating that environment of a channel.
Right.
What is this space that
What's
I'm
the
in
theme?
about? Then we have the ability to mute individuals that you may not want to hear. But we also track two things that are really important. One is reputation. And so as you do good work out there and as you have good conversations, your reputation is going to go up. And as you are annoying to people and get muted, your reputation is going to go down. We also have this concept of ownership of a channel. And so, for example, that kiteboarding channel, someone's going to own that, probably me.
Yeah.
And that kiteboarding channel, the owner is able to literally mute, boot, or ban people out of the channel entirely. They're also able to set up panel discussions. So in this case, there's just the two of us. We could have 1,000 listeners on the Horn channel. So we could have the DCIA Horn channel. They could all be listening. There's only two of us. We could take some questions, and suddenly, with the operator pushing one button, we could have another voice added into that. Suddenly, we've got 3 of us. We could add in 10, 15 of us. And after an hour, we could say, thanks, everyone. We hope you all enjoyed that. And push a button, go from panel mode to open mode, and everybody's just having an open conversation again.
Very interesting. User-generated talk shows.
Absolutely. User-generated talk shows.
Does this going to use a lot of bandwidth for all those audio channels if it's in the fullness of time when everybody's got one of these?
Well, so for us at the back end, it ends up aggregating to be quite a lot. But for the individual, it really ends up being very little, much less than you would be using with something like Pandora or any of the streaming music services. Those guys are trying to stream high-quality music that you want to listen to in stereo in your system. In our case, we really just need it to be high quality enough to have a clear voice communication.
More like Skype.
A little more like Skype, that's right.
Do you anticipate Horn channel owners being sponsored? Or what would be the benefit of being a Horn channel owner?
Well, with ownership comes control. And also, because our channels are name-based, any given channel name can only be owned once. And so if it's much the way that a domain name is set up. If you have dcia.org, well, if you missed it, and someone else has got it, you're not going to get it. And so it's much the same way here, where once we have a channel name that's established, as long as you maintain your position in it, you'll be able to have control over that channel. And really, for us as a startup business, it's important that we understand our revenue streams. And our revenue streams are very much that, giving quality control to the people that buy those channels. And so we give them great tools, and some of those tools cost a little bit more money, but they give them more control as well.
And what's the business model? How much will it cost for users, for owners?
For users, it's going to be free. The intent is to keep it that way absolutely into the long term. For channel owners, we're still establishing what those costs are going to be, but we're looking at things that are comparable to the domain name models, or at least to the idea of a domain name plus hosting. The intention isn't to try to offer a platform that's in the thousands of dollars. We're looking at things that are order of magnitude less than that.
And how do you plan to make inroads into the connected car market, for example? You talked about cars.
Well, Marty, I was hoping that you would introduce me to all the folks over at the auto companies that are making these decisions for what they're putting into their cars. We support we're going to be supporting Apple's and Android's auto versions, and so we'll be right out of the gate able to operate directly into the car, working with their functionality, their speakers, and their controls.
As soon as you get a haircut, I'm going to take you to Detroit with me.
Oh, come on.
Thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.